I think one of the most crucial and also the most popular questions that I get about shadow work is simply, what is shadow work? There are a lot of misconceptions about shadow work and what it is to work on shadow work and what even are shadows within ourselves. And I think that the easiest explanation about what is shadow work is to explain what the shadow is. And the term shadow comes from psychologist Carl Jung in reference to the parts of self that we try to hide or suppress, the subconscious part of self, anger, jealousy, hatred. Those are parts of self that we can be aware of to a certain extent, but these are things that we push very deep down into the subconscious because those are things we don't want other people to see within ourselves. And throughout history, you can see lots of the shadow self being referred to as the devil on your shoulder in Christianity. In Buddhism, it is referred to as Mara, the desire or part of self that is unholy. But shadow is just the subconscious, unconscious thoughts and feelings, behaviors that we have within ourselves. And shadow work is what helps to pull those things to the surface through the lens of compassion, curiosity, and understanding, so that we can integrate those parts of ourself into our lives instead of trying to sever ourselves from those parts of self or get rid of those parts of self, which classically are very unsuccessful. We try to unify those parts of self, to illuminate them, to look at them, to see where they come from, and to offer them space with grace. That is the bread and butter of shadow work. And throughout the next 28 days, we will go through many different sects of shadow work, different avenues inward, through inner child work, through inner teenager work, through really that beautiful self-connective and reflective work of shadow work. And these are things that help us to gain better understanding of self. And this is what, in my opinion, brings that beautiful whole self healing when we stop running away from the parts of self that feel embarrassing, that feel shameful, and we open our arms to those parts of self to allow them to be seen so that we can move on with our lives, so that those parts of self aren't plaguing our existence, that we can acknowledge them with love, with compassion and curiosity, and then water those other seeds within ourselves. And so the purpose of shadow work is really to get to know yourself in such a way that when somebody else points out your shadows, you can say, yes, I do know that about myself, and I am working to understand and integrate those parts of self better.